Pay attention to this. A man and a teenage girl walk toward a house. His hand is on her shoulder. He looks left, he looks right. They go inside. She never comes out. But here's what makes this different from every other missing girl story you've heard. This man is not a stranger. He's her stepfather. He's been her stepfather for 3 years. He taught her how to drive. He walked her down the aisle at his own wedding to her mother. And 7 years before this footage was recorded, he made her real father disappear. This is the story of a man who spent 7 years building a family so he could destroy it. And when you understand how he did it, you'll never look at the helpful stranger the same way again. Brooke Holloway was 16 years old, junior at Riverview High School in Florida. She had a 3.8 GPA. She played volleyball. She wanted to study nursing. Her friends described her as the responsible one, the one who always answered texts, the one who never missed curfew, the one who told her mom everything. On March 22nd, 2024, Brooke came home from school with her stepfather, Ray Carver. A security camera mounted on the house captured them walking across the front yard toward the door. That footage is 13 seconds long. In those 13 seconds, Brooke is alive. She's walking next to a man she trusts, a man who's been part of her life since she was 11, a man her mother married when Brooke was 14. After those 13 seconds, Brooke Holloway was never seen again. Her stepfather called the police 4 hours later saying she'd vanished from her bedroom. Her window was open. Her phone was on her bed. The question everyone asked was, where did she go? But that was the wrong question. The right question was, where did he take her? And an even better question was, why did it take 7 years? Let me take you back to 2017. Brooke was 9 years old. Her father, Nathan Holloway, worked in pharmaceutical sales. Her mother, Denise, worked as a medical assistant. They lived in a nice house in a quiet neighborhood. They went to church. They had barbecues. They looked like every other family on the block. Nathan traveled for work, sometimes short trips, a few days at most. In March 2017, he left for a business trip to Atlanta. He kissed his wife. He hugged his daughter. He said he'd be back Thursday. He never came back. His rental car was found abandoned at a rest stop in South Georgia. His wallet was inside. His suitcase was inside. Nathan was not inside. Police investigated. They found no witnesses, no signs of struggle, no body. The case went cold. Some people whispered that Nathan had run off, started a new life somewhere, abandoned his family. Denise refused to believe it, but as years passed, even she started to wonder. And then Ray Carver showed up. Here's what everyone believed. Ray Carver was a co-worker of Nathan's who stepped up to help a grieving widow. He worked at the same pharmaceutical company, different department. He'd met Denise once at a company event years earlier. After Nathan disappeared, Ray reached out, sent a sympathy card, then flowers on Denise's anniversary, then offers to help around the house. He was patient, he was kind, he never pushed, he let Denise grieve, he let Brooke adjust, he became a friend first. Then something more. 3 years after Nathan vanished, Ray and Denise got married. The neighborhood thought it was beautiful. Widow finds love again. Daughter gets a father figure. Everyone believed Ray Carver was a good man. Wrong. Ray Carver was not a good man who happened to help a grieving family. Ray Carver was the reason the family was grieving, and the proof was sitting in a lockbox in his old house for 7 years, waiting to be found. Let me tell you who Ray Carver really was. 48 years old when he was arrested. Never married before Denise. No children. No criminal record. No red flags on any background check. He went to church occasionally. He coached Little League one summer. He donated to charity. He helped elderly neighbors carry groceries. He remembered birthdays. He remembered names. He was the kind of man people described as one of the good ones. The kind of man mothers pointed to and said, "Why can't you find someone like him?" The kind of man you'd trust to watch your house while you were on vacation. The kind of man you'd let pick your daughter up from school without a second thought. But Ray had a pattern that no one saw because no one was looking. He watched people. He collected information. He studied routines and relationships and vulnerabilities. And he waited. Patience wasn't a virtue for Ray. It was a weapon. And when investigators finally searched his old house in Brandon, the one he kept empty for years, the one he told Denise he couldn't sell because of the market, they found a fireproof safe hidden behind drywall in the garage. Inside that safe was a lockbox. Inside that lockbox was 7 years of obsession. Photographs, dozens of them, screenshots printed from Denise's social media going back to 2015, photos of Nathan at company events, photos of Brooke at volleyball games taken from the bleachers where hundreds of other parents sat, photos of the Holloway house from across the street, and one photograph that changed everything. A photo of Nathan Holloway at a gas station in Valdosta, Georgia, dated March 14th, 2017, the day Nathan disappeared. The photo was taken from inside a vehicle parked nearby. Nathan is walking toward his rental car, carrying a coffee cup. He has no idea he's being photographed. He has no idea that the man taking this photo has been planning this moment for 2 years. He has no idea these are the last hours of his life. Here's what investigators believe happened. Ray Carver had been watching the Holloway family since at least 2015. He'd seen Denise at a company barbecue. Something about her caught his attention. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was the idea of the family. She represented the happy marriage, the young daughter, the life that Ray had never built for himself. Whatever it was, Ray became fixated, but Ray was patient. Ray understood that you don't take something by force. You take it by removing the obstacles. And the obstacle was Nathan. Ray knew Nathan's travel schedule from office conversations. Pharmaceutical sales reps talk about their territories, their routes, their clients. It's not secret information. Nathan mentioned once that he always stopped at the same gas station in Valdosta on his drives to Atlanta. Best coffee on I-75. He said he probably forgot. He said it. Ray never forgot. In March 2017, Ray called in sick for 3 days. No one checks where you go when you're sick. He drove to Valdosta. He waited at that gas station. He watched Nathan pull in, just like he knew Nathan would. What happened next is still technically unknown because Nathan's body has never been found. But the photograph in that lockbox proves Ray was there. Ray was watching. And Nathan never made it to Atlanta. Ray drove back to Florida. He went to work on Monday like nothing happened. He waited. This is the part that investigators still talk about. He waited 7 months before reaching out to Denise. 7 months. Most people would get impatient. Most people would make a mistake. He waited 7 months before reaching out to Denise. 7 months. Most people would get impatient. Most people would make a mistake. Ray understood that. The long game was the only game. He sent a sympathy card through the company mail. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you and Brooke, if you ever need anything. Denise didn't respond at first. Ray waited another month. Sent flowers on her anniversary with a note. I know this day must be hard. You're not alone. Denise called to thank him. They talked for almost an hour. Ray listened. Ray comforted. Ray said, Nathan loved you too much to leave. I knew him. He was a good man. Something terrible happened to him. And that was true. Something terrible did happen to Nathan. Ray just didn't mention he was the one who did it. The courtship took 3 years. Ray never rushed. He helped with yard work, fixed things around the house, told Brooke stories about her dad from work. He didn't try to replace Nathan. He honored Nathan's memory. That's what made Brooke trust him. That's what made Denise fall in love with him. The man who murdered her husband spent 3 years pretending to grieve with her. And she believed every word. They got married in June 2020. Brooke was 14. She was a bridesmaid. In the wedding photos, she's smiling. Ray's hand is on her shoulder, the same way it was on the security footage. 4 years later, when he walked her into that house for the last time. For 3 years after the wedding, Ray was the perfect stepfather. He drove Brooke to school, helped with homework, attended her games, but Brooke started noticing things in the months before she disappeared. Ray asking too many questions about her friends, which ones had parents who worked late, which ones had empty houses after school, Ray checking her phone when he thought she wasn't looking, Ray standing in her doorway at night, just watching. She mentioned it to her friend Aaliyah once. He's just protective, Aaliyah said. That's what stepdads do. Brooke wanted to believe that, but something felt wrong. She couldn't explain it. She just knew that sometimes when Ray looked at her, it wasn't the way a father looks at a daughter, and she was right. But by the time anyone listened, it was too late. March 22nd, 2024. Denise was working a double shift at the hospital. She wouldn't be home until after midnight. Ray picked Brooke up from volleyball practice. They stopped for groceries. They came home. The security camera shows them walking across the yard. Ray's hand on Brooke's shoulder. Ray looking left, then right, then left again. Not the way someone checks for traffic. The way someone checks if anyone is watching. They go inside. Brooke texted her mom at 4:52 p.m. Home safe. Love you. That was the last anyone heard from her. At 6:30 p.m., Brooke's friend Aaliyah tried to FaceTime her. No answer. At 7:15, Aaliyah texted. Nothing. At 9:45, Aaliyah called Denise at work. Worried. Denise called home. Ray answered, calm and confused. He said Brooke went to her room after dinner around 6. He'd been watching TV. He knocked on her door once, and she said she was tired. He assumed she was sleeping. Denise asked him to check. Ray went quiet. Then his voice changed. Her window's open. She's not here. Denise called 911. At 10:07 p.m., police found Brooke's window open from the inside, her phone on her bed, her wallet in her backpack, her shoes by the door. If she'd left voluntarily, she'd left barefoot with nothing. Ray's story was simple. Dinner, she went to her room. TV, he fell asleep on the couch, woke up to Denise's call. The house was clean, no signs of struggle, nothing out of place. Initial theory was runaway. 16-year-old girl, open window. Maybe she snuck out to meet someone. But Denise knew Brooke. Brooke didn't sneak out. Brooke would never leave her phone. Something was wrong. And the person who knew exactly what was wrong was standing in the living room giving a statement. The investigation circled for 10 days. No witnesses, no strange cars, no evidence of abduction. And then Denise remembered something. Brooke had an Apple Watch, a birthday gift from Aaliyah 3 weeks earlier. Brooke wore it everywhere. It wasn't in her room. It wasn't in the house. Denise logged into the family's Apple account. The watch had pinged a location March 22nd, starting at 6:47 p.m. 3 hours of location data from a house in Brandon, Florida. An address Denise recognized. Ray's old house. The one he said he couldn't sell. The one that had been sitting empty for years. Police got a warrant. They searched the Brandon house on April 3rd. What they found inside would become the most important evidence in the case. In the garage, behind a stack of old paint cans, they found a blue tarp folded neatly. There was blood on it. Testing confirmed it was Brooke's blood. In the backyard, cadaver dogs hit on 3 separate areas of disturbed soil, all recently dug within the past 2 weeks, all empty. Whatever had been there was gone, moved somewhere else that Ray had prepared. In the wall behind a utility shelf, investigators noticed the drywall didn't match. It was newer than the rest. They cut through and found a fireproof safe bolted to the studs. Inside the safe, they found a lockbox with a combination lock. They cut it open. Inside, they found 7 years of obsession. Photographs organized by date in manila folders, screenshots printed from Denise's Facebook and Instagram influencer marketing courses going back to 2015. Photos of Nathan at company events, standing in groups where you'd never notice who else was watching. Photos of Brooke at volleyball games taken from the far end of the bleachers where any parent could sit without drawing attention. Photos of the Holloway house from a car parked across the street in different seasons, different times of day, and one photograph that prosecutors would call the smoking gun, a photo of Nathan Holloway at a gas station in Valdosta, Georgia. The timestamp on the digital file was March 14th, 2017, the day Nathan disappeared, the day he was supposed to be driving to Atlanta, the day he never arrived. Ray Carver was arrested on April 5th, 2024, charged with the murder of Nathan Holloway and the murder of Brooke Holloway. Here's what investigators believe happened that afternoon. After Brooke went to her room, Ray waited. Sometime around 6 p.m., he entered her room. He incapacitated her. How is unclear. Then he opened her window from the inside. He carried her through the back of the house to his truck parked behind the fence where no camera could see. He drove her to the Brandon house 20 minutes away. What happened there is unknown because Ray has never said a word. The watch pinged until 9:43 p.m., then it went dead. The blood on the tarp and the cadaver hits in the backyard tell investigators that Brooke died at that house, but her body has never been found. Ray moved her somewhere else, somewhere he's never revealed. And that's the cruelest part of the story. Ray Carver was convicted in November 2024. 2 counts of first-degree murder, life without parole.